Visit Camp Brightside and enjoy great food and drinks in our rustic dining room or on the huge covered patio. Camp Brightside is not just great food and drinks, but unmatched atmosphere that includes outdoor games, a wiffle ball field, and an outdoor stage. Camp Brightside is located at 8701 Ranch Road 2338 Williams Drive, near Ronald Reagan Boulevard. Camp Brightside is the host of the Eagle Nation Coaches Show each Wednesday at 6 p.m. For food and fun like nowhere else in Georgetown, visit Camp Brightside and stay a while. For an old-fashioned dining experience, visit Goldberger Diner on the square in Georgetown. When you walk into this 50-style diner, you'll be greeted with a smile and treated like family. Enjoy breakfast served anytime or come for lunch or dinner and enjoy a great burger, chicken fried steak, old-fashioned liver and onions, or any of the great tasting food on our menu. Goldberger Diner is located at 109 West 7th Street in downtown Georgetown. Goldberger Diner, serving great food to great people.
Good evening, everybody. We're live here in the locker room. It is Decals with Dads. It is a start to another year. I'm Wally Harmon, Holden Tuma. Holden, we're back in the saddle. Friday night, what a start at UMHB. The Eagles get off against the Temple Wildcats. But we're here tonight. No Kelly, no Dave, no Heath, no anybody. It's me and you to talk football, and what a night. Great night to be here in the locker room. Outside of maybe the smell a little bit.
Yeah, well, so luckily I've been blessed with the inability to smell, so that's all you. But no, it's such a cool night. Decals with Dads, such a fascinating thing Georgetown does. Lets the dads come in, decorate the helmets for the varsity players, their sons that have worked so hard to get to this point. It's really special to be part of something like this, something that not everywhere. It's something that doesn't happen everywhere, something that is kind of unique to Georgetown. But like you said, that season's just right around the corner, and I cannot wait. It's been a long summer, and that first game, 2 days away.
And the funny thing you talk about, you look at around this room, we get to be around these players, around these families, this program, with such free reign by Coach Griffin and his staff to come in and talk to players, talk to people, talk to coaches. But then you talk about, you see some dads that are brand new. This is the first time to decorate that helmet. And you see parents like Caleb McDougall's dad, Jeremy McDougall's in here for the third year and the final year. And so the sentiment can be so different to some of these dads. And then a special opportunity to think about and pause and reflect on the fact that Jamison Pennington came in earlier in the week, decorated the helmet in honor of Jason Pennington, and put it on his locker that will remain empty this year with his name on it to honor his memory. And so just so much involved in this, some excitement because it's football time and these dads are ready to go watch their sons play. But you talk about the sentiment, the excitement of a first-time dad getting to decorate that varsity helmet. And then these dads, it's like, man, this is it.
Yeah.
I don't get to do this again.
Yeah, and as a senior in college myself, it really is shocking how fast time flies because I remember my first day of university when I first stepped on campus, didn't know where anything was, didn't know anybody yet, and now I'm going into my final year, and I can just imagine what that's like for these dads who are watching their kids grow up and they remember their first varsity snap potentially as a junior or sophomore, now decorating the helmet for the first time, or as a first-time varsity player in their senior season doing this for their first time and the last time. I can only imagine what the emotion is in that moment.
In a conversation I had with one of the dads, David Gonzalez, a good friend of mine, AJ, Big Tasty, getting his final year here at Georgetown, his senior year. But not only that, for David, it's his final son to go through high school. And so this is the final year for him to experience. A kid in high school. He coached football out in California with a lot of his sons in growing up into high school. What an experience and what a memory here tonight for him. And so cool to watch the dads get an opportunity to do this. The coaches involved. Then they get to write that letter and put in the locker for their son to find. And just a cool program that they do here. But enough of that. It's football on Friday night. Friday night, come join us. UMHB, first time we've been a part of this at First Responder Broadcasting with Georgetown High School. The kickoff game, we will be the home team against the Temple Wildcats, but we will be playing at the University of Mary Hardin-Baylor. 7 o'clock is the kickoff on Friday night. We'll go live about 6:15. Lord willing.
Yeah, hopefully.
With the technical difficulties that can occur, and usually do occur, the good thing is volleyball's allowed me to work out some of those kinks, so we should be good to go. But we'll bring the game live to you here on the SHN YouTube channel, brought to you by First Responder Broadcasting. But come join us, man. What an opportunity to go support these kids at UMHB at a big college stadium just up the road in Belton before the home opener next week against the Rouse Raiders. Talk about one thing that we were talking about pre-game, pre-show that we can look at is the changes that came. It's a realignment year for 26-27 and then 27-28. And Georgetown has a new district because Eastview is now flown the coop. They have grown up. They put on the big boy pants. They go to 6A, whether they wanted to or not. They're at 6A. They're in a new world. Georgetown at 5A, but bring in some new teams. A couple of 6A teams coming down. 3 6A teams in our district coming down. Adding in a couple of teams out of College Station area. Cougars and the Tigers, College Station and A&M Consolidated. But a different landscape for Georgetown this season in district. 9 teams, so 8 of our games are now super important district games to try to make the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned it. There's so much change. I think there's only 2 teams remaining that we're all familiar with, which is, I believe, Glenn and Hendrickson. I think we have some sort of familiarity with. Everyone else is relatively new to this district, including those College Station games. And we know we did play them a couple years ago when they were in our district for 2 years, and they were tough matchups. They really pushed us physically, pushed us mentally, both here and away. So those are games that are absolutely going to be circled. But like you touched on it as well, more district games puts more importance every single week. You don't have as much time out of conference to get yourself into shape. You've got to be ready to go from week 1.
And that's a question we'll save and talk to Coach Griffin about, is the fact of what does that do to this team in your preparations to figure out who's going to be where, when, how, what's going to work, what's not going to work, what touch-ups you have to do, knowing you lose a non-district game where Georgetown used to schedule 3 competitive teams and learn from them before they hit district. Now you have 2, the Temple Wildcats at UMHB on Friday night and then the Rouse Raiders at home, and then it's right into the busy district schedule, 8 games. And not having a bye till the second to last week of district on Halloween weekend, which will be great. Kelly Duvall, our buddy, will get to go back home towards the grandbaby and enjoy the first Halloween with Cece. But what an opportunity for this team. You make that push for the playoffs, then you get a late week to heal up before the last week. The problem in this district is it's going to be very challenging. You've got to win the games you have to win and battle to beat the 3 teams projected to finish above you. College Station, A&M Consolidated, and the Weiss Wolves, new to Georgetown as they moved up from D2 and now a D1 in our district. They were D1 last year. They now in our district. They're slated picked to be in the top 4 of the district. No slip-ups. That's the problem that you run into in a big district like this. With the talent this district has, no slip-ups can happen week to week, and you've got to go and pull a couple of upsets if you can.
And you see a lot of this in college football, where the big schools, they sometimes schedule some cupcakes to try to just get an easy win on the books and then start rolling things like Texas, for instance, playing the first week of the season and then playing Ohio State, getting that first game out of the way. Georgetown does not have that in this schedule. Every single week is going to be a tough matchup. There's no off weeks where they can kind of just put up a C-plus effort and still find themselves on the victorious end of a football game. They're going to have to go every single game, every single play, 110% if they want to come out of the season in good position for a playoff spot.
And just like normal for Coach Griffin and this staff, 2 6A schools to start in non-district.
Yes.
You have the Temple Wildcats coming out of Region 1 or Region 2 District 12. Out of the Temple area, a 6A school. And then your second week, the home game against the Leander Rouse Raiders, they bumped up to 6A. So now all of your Leander ISDs outside of the Glen Grizzlies that are in our district are now 6A. Rouse will come in. We're familiar with them. We've played them the last couple of years. But you're challenging yourself with 2 good 6A teams. Very athletic. They'll pose a big threat and a big challenge to this team. And then you got to be ready for week 3. You right into district play, no time to relax, no time to, hey, let's take a down week. We don't have a down week till October 30th. How big is that for this team? And how do you do it? You've lost some characters on this team that people may be familiar with. Caden Scherer, UT commit, UT's athlete now, and Jet Walker, who has gone on to the University of Texas as well, along with Xavier Warren. Some big linebackers and Cole Mitchell. You lost Fielding Gardner this year to an ACL tear during spring ball. How does this team adapt to it and know you've got 2 weeks to really get your systematics working and ready for district play.
And I'll add you one to that list, Tennyson Dean, who I think was easily the most important defensive player last season, because outside of Dean, Georgetown really struggled to generate pressure, and that's my number one question coming into the season. How do they replace Tennyson Dean, his ability to pass rush, his ability to affect the quarterback? Because outside of him, last season they struggled with that. That's going to be a huge factor this season if they want to have success. They've got to find ways to disrupt the high-powered quarterbacks that we're going to be facing every single week.
And we'll have a conversation, hopefully, with Coach Laux, the defensive coordinator, about that. And then we go to the offensive side of the ball. You replace a Jet Walker. You talk about both sides of the ball and dynamic players that make a true impact. Tennyson Dean, I tried to ignore that because I hate to see that he's gone. So talented, doing well at the next level as he competes in his freshman year. But then you lose the Jet Walker, who was second to none, just a super talented young man. Obviously, when the offers came rolling, West Virginia, Minnesota, and then the Trump of Texas coming and saying, hey, leave your backyard and come to our front yard and play with the big boys. Jet's gone. How do you feel that? You got Zach Guyton coming back, a very formidable threat, a great running back. Power will run over you, through you, and past you. And then you got the Weston Stewart, the speed out of it, and he made a lot of people look bad last year. Give him a hole. It may be a track meet from there. How big is that concern to support that passing game with Caleb McDougal and this new wide receiver core?
I think the most important thing coming into this season is just the understanding that no one's going to beat Jet Walker. Jet Walker was a one-of-one type player, so these guys have to just be themselves, the best version of themselves. And what's really fascinating is we got to see them in action last year. When Jet went out and missed time with some injuries, they got to play, and they both were spectacular. There was a game earlier in the season, I believe, both of those running backs went over 100 yards in the same game. So they're clearly very capable of pulling off the type of running that Georgetown's going to need from them to succeed this season. But that's going to be a question, because Jet Walker, that's a tough name to replace.
One thing you look at in this team, you've come in the past few years, you had the Andrew Petter from his sophomore year on, and then you had Jet Walker come in his junior and senior year and do what he did. Now who fills that gap? You've had that big running back over the last few years. You had the Darson Herman, and then you had a Noah Bohr step up due to injury to Tucker Griffin, and he had a 2-year stint. Now you have a 3-year quarterback coming in, and Caleb McDougal comes in with a lot of experience, but surrounded by some newer names. On the outside, you got Braylon Westfall coming back. You got Braden Bratton coming back. You've got Corbin Carroll, but guys that didn't get a lot of snaps last year, a lot of opportunities because you had the Xavier Warren, because you had Braylon Westfall, and you had different talent around Caleb McDougal. How big is that for this offense? To now you're replacing a lot of key components to this, but surrounded by a tenured quarterback.
Yeah, I think that tenured quarterback in Caleb McDougal is the most important player to look at for this offense, because earlier in his career, we talked to him as the bus driver. He was just kind of operating the offense and getting the ball to his playmakers. This season, in his senior year, now he's going to have to kind of mature into that leader on that offense. He's going to have to start making those plays to extend drives, to convert on third downs. And luckily, he does have a receiver coming back, Braden Westfall, who we did have a great connection with, who's a high-impact player. But like you mentioned, a lot of new faces in that receiving core, and it's going to be on the quarterback a lot of times to find ways to make those guys get open, throw them open, for instance. There's a lot of more pressure on him, I think, in this senior year, but I think he's up to it.
A lot of components that will surround McDougal there on the offense. You've got the 6'8" junior tight end, Weston Hepp. How big can he be across the middle to go up, get balls, to get McDougal out of trouble when he can throw up to the 6'8" receiver covered by usually what would be a defensive lineman or a linebacker. Then you got the speed on the outside with Bratton, with Corbin Carroll, with Braylon Westfall. You add in some of those backups in there with Nate Lyons, the speediness, a lot of things we saw in the scrimmage the other night of just players that will hit gaps, hit holes, and get going. And so it'll be fun to watch. Corbin Carroll had a great scrimmage, 3 catches, over 140, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. McDougal throwing to him. You had Westfall, offense, defense, and punting. Zach Guyton you're going to see on both sides of the ball. How big is that for Zach to step up to be that number 1 running back, but also to be that starting linebacker alongside I just lost his name, Gavin Smith.
Yes.
I've talked to Gavin all year with baseball, being a 3-sport stud here at Georgetown. But you have Gavin Smith, and now you got Reagan Bollinger, Johnny Decker moving around into the linebacker roles, defensive back at the same time. So a lot of changes coming. It'll be interesting to talk to the coaches as we will here tonight. We'll take a quick break. We don't need our Norton antivirus going. But we'll take a quick break. We're live here in the locker room. It's Decals with Dads as we get ready for Friday night's kickoff at UMHB, 7 o'clock against the Temple Wildcats. After this week, we'll be back live on Wednesday nights, 5:30 at Camp Brightside. They're the sponsor of our Eagle Nation Coaches Show. That's an important thing. They do so much for us here at First Responder Broadcasting, but so much for this school district, not just Georgetown, but Eastview and all the schools very involved in the community. We appreciate them. And so come out and support every Wednesday night. We get to talk to Coach, talk to some of the players, but an opportunity to highlight this program each and every week. Look forward, discuss the past week, look forward to the next week, and we bring it to you all live, 5:30 on Wednesday nights at Camp Brightside, outside of 2 Thursday night games. Those Wednesday nights will be on the track, so Coach can be there to watch the games going on before the night following, when we will be on the road to bring you Georgetown football. We'll take a quick time out, bring us a Camp Brightside commercial. They are our key sponsor of the Coaches Show this year. We'll take a time out. We'll wrangle Coach Chuck Griffin to come talk to us. It's Georgetown Eagle Nation Coaches Show live here on the SHN Sports YouTube channel. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Visit Camp Brightside and enjoy great food and drinks in our rustic dining room or on the huge covered patio. Camp Brightside is not just great food and drinks, but unmatched atmosphere that includes outdoor games, a wiffle ball field, and an outdoor stage. Camp Brightside is located at 8701 Ranch Road, 2338 Williams Drive, near Ronald Reagan Boulevard. Camp Brightside is the host of the Eagle Nation Coaches Show each Wednesday at 6 p.m. For food and fun like nowhere else in Georgetown, visit Camp Brightside and stay a while.
Fly like an eagle, spit fire like a dragon. Make some mistakes, you won't keep me lacking. Already been through it, I ain't the one tapping. Let's see who's next up. Next up. It's just me and my passion. Hear all the talking, they seeing no action. We get to step on while they get the bag. And I'm with my brothers, what's happening? None of my enemies fast and biting my style and jacket. Dropping a storm, you best get the pack. Ain't no more fashion. When I pull up in tanks, that's and still wreaking havoc. Smell of an excellent young telepathy. Ready on mine with these lines, spinning on top, I am one of a kind. Prophecy for my design, Yeshua said I'll be with him in time. Not even dope on my level of high, I'm levitating on the rhymes. Spiritual meditation, ain't no kind of faces, we got blue in our eyes. Say we don't go, we suited up when we put on a show. Like, they want me for broke, I do it on one and making a toast. I could be doing the most, yeah. Submitted some jokes, I can see through them like ghosts. Yeah, do more than just float, I gotta fly like an eagle. Spit fire like a dragon, make some mistakes, you won't keep me lacking. Already been through it, I ain't the one tapping. Let's see who's next up. It's just me and my passion. Hear all the talking, they seeing no action. We get to step on while they get the back. And I'm with my brothers, what's happening?
Now we're back live here in the locker room. We're having to deal with the temper of the sound in our ears, but the good music of Royalty, one of Coach Griffin's son. I tell you what, it's been fun to watch Ty and his wife. I say girlfriend. I was at the wedding.
Wife now.
As they now have moved on to Tyler, and he started his career. But we love bringing the Royalty music. Some of our favorite out there. Coach, and a new year for Georgetown Eagle football. Some changes on the home front with a different district now that we look at. Eastview has been booted on to 6A. but some good changes, some challenging changes
Sure.
in district for Georgetown this year. Talk about this. The first key question we had was you lose a non-district game to help prepare.
Yep.
How big is that for this team and this program?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big part. You jump right in, and in week 3, you're playing in district, but so is everybody else. So is everybody else in the district. We're not competing with the 5-team districts or the 6-team districts that are through the state. We're competing just inside of our 9-team district. So, but that's fine. Everybody else is doing the same thing, so we just got to be prepared, be ready.
A big start to this season. We get to go to UMHB.
Yeah.
How did that come about, and the agreement there from UMHB to host us, to get Temple to go on the road with us?
So the idea came from, really, I reached out to Carl Padilla. They used to do a kickoff classic in the Alamo Dome, and that's kind of where we started. And Alamo Dome now has UTSA, so they're not doing that as often or as much. I don't really know on that, and we ended up with Temple, and we just decided to try to work out a bigger venue for the first game. So we ended up settling on UMHB. So it's going to be exciting.
Some new faces this year on the coaching staff.
Yeah.
You bring in several new faces. The Chuck Griffin coaching tree continues to grow as coaches move on and into new roles and everything.
Yeah.
Talk about that and the introduction of those new coaches and how that's blended.
That's probably been our biggest challenge. Kind of this spring, I started noticing some things that have always happened were not happening, and I was like, okay, that's my job. I got to be on top of that and see that. But we've had 11 new coaches in 3 years, and that's tough on us. It's awesome for us. I think 9 of those 11 have gone on to been a head coach of another sport, or there's 4 head football coaches that come out of there, that's exciting for those guys. That's what I want to do. I want to grow our staff and grow our men to go on and do something else and be productive and kind of spread our way and how we do things. So that's really exciting. But man, we knocked it out of the park with the hires. We got 4 great hires. We hired Brock Grigsby as our assistant head coach, and Brock, my first head coaching job, Brock was my quarterback. So he was my quarterback, and went and played a little college ball, and he's been coaching for several years, been a head coach already in a smaller East Texas school. And I've tried a couple years to get him, and it worked out this time. So he's going to coach our quarterbacks, and be our assistant head coach. Hired former player Joseph Gaudatius. Joseph was an offensive lineman here. Been really active at coming and visiting us and what we do through his career, and has been coaching about 6 years in the Metroplex in San Antonio, and wants to be an offensive coordinator. And so we hired him to come in and coach running backs and kind of learn the passing game and the offense from that standpoint versus the offensive line standpoint. So he's been a great addition. He was a member of the state finalist team in 2012, and then played again in 2013. And then we hired Marcellus Walters over from Lake Travis. Marcellus came to us, from Lake Travis, and has been another excellent hire, and done a really good job there as well. So he's going to coach the linebackers with Coach Colson, and he's been there. He's been at Lake Travis, I think, about 7 years. Kind of worked up through their system from middle school to freshman to varsity the last 4 years, I think, and has brought a lot to the table. And then the last guy we hired is our receiver coach, Bailey Duramus. And Bailey actually he hasn't coached football. He played football, played college baseball, and he's been a head baseball coach for the last 3 years. And he moved in to coach baseball with us and help Coach Gainey coach our wide receivers.
I was glad you went over those names, because Coach Duramus, that was the one we were like, is it Duramus? Is it Duramus? He'll be on the baseball field as well, just over from Brian Rudder, I believe it was. And so when you go out and have to replace these coaches year after year, what do you use? How do you find out? Where do you go to dig up these coaches that continue to come in and do great things?
Just people I know. You kind of beat the bushes. And obviously we post it and we get some stuff out of there. And, I found Coach Walters that way. He posted the job. He reached out to me, and we started talking, and we met a few times. And, man, that was a great hire. And he is a fantastic hire. And fortunately for us, he lives in Hutto and got tired of driving Lake Travis, so it's a whole lot easier to get Georgetown in 15 minutes. So that was fantastic for us, and a great hire. And so that's kind of – there's some guys, that I know and I've kind of penciled in, like Brock. I've been trying to hire Brock for several years and was able to work it out this time. So.
You mentioned all these new coaches that are coming in. What's the learning curve like for the players stepping into these roles with new coachings, trying to maybe learn something new?
There's not too much a change from the player standpoint, because we want our coaches to come in and coach the way we coach. Not that we're not hiring somebody to come in and be innovative or learn something from them, but there's a certain way we do things, and we call it our blueprint. And there's a certain way we do things, and that's what we want. So there's a huge learning curve from the coaches, and they kind of got to drink from a fire hose for a little while as they kind of figure out how we do things. It's different everywhere, but we've got some guys around that have, we like what we do, right? And so we want them to learn. And so now, kids are kids, and they relate to coaches. And if you hire a good man, like that's what we try to do, and you hire a good person and a guy with a good football background, the kids are going to latch on. Like there's not really any, I don't know if I trust this guy. That didn't happen. They latch on when you got a good coach in.
Some big players left this year.
Yeah.
You look at from the offensive line and Caden Scherer to the running back and the stud of Jet Walker. Then you go to the defensive side and a homegrown product in Tennyson Dean, and you lose a linebacker like a Cole Mitchell. Yeah. One cog you have to sit right back in there for the third year is the quarterback to run your helm, to run this offense. And Caleb McDougall, how big is that, knowing you have to replace some key parts? Yeah,
having a guy like Caleb that's been here and knows what we do and how to run things and how to run the offense, that's huge. That's a huge piece. We don't like losing great players, but we know that's the nature of the beast, right? We know that's going to happen. So the idea is who's coming up next. And that's one of the reasons we have 5 football teams. We want kids to grow and develop. And, every year we say there's a freshman B team and the JV B team and the JV Silver kid that all of a sudden he's played 30 football games and he's ready to play as a senior because he went through the process. And so that's a big part. And we're a very young team. We've got several sophomores that are going to play. We've got several juniors and that are coming up from the JV, and then we've got a lot of seniors that are coming up from the JV. We graduated a really big class last year, so we're very young when it comes to playing varsity football, and but we're going to do fine. They've got a great learning curve. They've jumped right in. They're playing with a little chip on their shoulder. They're practicing. We had our meeting last week, and that's one of the things they talked about is. They don't think the world thinks there's a very high expectation for them, so that's created a little chip on their shoulder, and which I think is awesome.
You're talking about a chip on your shoulder coming off of last season, that playoff loss to a team that eventually played for the state title, a game that we had a lot of chances in. Is that something that you still think the team is potentially drawing from coming into this year?
Yeah, we talk about that. Our motto this offseason was close the gap. You can go back to 2012 or 2014 or 2017 or I think 2020, 2022. We are close to beating the state finalist or state champion in all of those years, right? So what closes the gap so that we're the one playing the third and fourth round? We're the one that's going to play in the state championship game instead of the team that beat us by a field goal or beat us by one score in the fourth quarter. That was kind of our mindset. So. We're pushing that. That's kind of our goal every year is how can we close that gap? How can we get better? If you look at the 8 years, we kind of went from, about a 7-win team a year to 8 wins a year. Now we're averaging this last half of these 8 years, we're averaging about 9 wins a year, So we're moving in the right direction. We just got to keep doing that.
This year, UIL did us one big favor, bringing back the A&M Consolidated College Station. They didn't make us go both on the road or both at home.
Yeah.
The districting, how that went. What's your thought on the way UIL does that? And it seems that everybody here is pocketed except for those 2 guys. You feel for them and as much travel they're going to do. Yeah. How does that shake out? Does that even do anything to affect the coaching side of it, or you guys just put the opponent against us?
It is what it is. We don't have any control over it, so we're not going to worry about it. We're just going to get ready and go play. We got great opponents. I think 7 of the 9 teams were in the playoffs last year, so it's a really tough district. I think Matt Stepp calls it the toughest district in 5A. So it is a tough district. The travel, I grew up cut my coaching teeth in West Texas, so that's just a district ball game. Like that's not a really big deal, but for our players it is. But we've got a plan on that and how that works. And you just can't worry about it. That's out of our control, and it is what it is.
On the topic of the schedule, a late bye week this year, all the way to Halloween. Does that change anything going week to week?
To be honest, I've never had that. The biggest thing it affects is we've always done a tutorial week and bye week kind of right before the 6 weeks or right before the 9 weeks. That we hire teachers to come in and do a massive tutorial deal and kind of make sure we're all on par where we need to be with our grades. And that's kind of – we're trying to figure out how we're going to do that because that's usually about week 5 or 6, and now it's week 9. I don't know. that's a draw. You know, when you get the schedule and you draw a number, you know, and that's where we ended up. And I think I'd rather have 9 than 10, but you know, either way, that's kind of just the way it goes. We'll be fine.
As you prepare for Temple, what do we expect out of the Temple Wildcats Friday night?
You know, they're a good football team. They got a great quarterback, high-powered offense. They're going to try to throw the ball all around the yard. You know, Coach President played Tulsa. He's kind of a Art Briles disciple kind of guy. You know, want to throw the ball down the field and push that. And, you know, so they're going to be good. They're going to be fast. They're going to have a lot of speed. And, you know, they're going to try to have an attacking style defense, a lot of man coverage, those kind of things. So it'll be a challenge for us. You know, we're really happy with the way the scrimmage turned out last week against Copper's Cove. Very similar team, you know, from that standpoint. And, you know, Temple's got a great history. And, you know, it's used to be a rivalry, I would imagine, you know, for a long time. But we haven't played each other in the last 20 years. We haven't played very often. We played a little bit. But excited about it. Excited about to see where we stand and go up against a good 6A opponent. You know, both our teams were playing in the non-district or 6A opponents. Just try to prepare us as we get ready to go into district play.
Last question before we get you out of here and talk to a couple of the coordinators and coaches. Talk about some of these opponents coming in, the new teams in this district that people may not know a lot about. Colleen, Shoemaker. You got Maynard coming down from 6A. What do we look forward to?
No, we don't have Maynard.
That's in our other.
Yeah.
They're with Austin schools.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
But you got new opponents that we're not used to.
For sure.
We get Glenn back, the only Leander school, but those two Colleen schools, what do we expect out of that?
You know, Colleen Shoemaker's done really well the last 20 years. They've been a really dominant program, and they lost their head coach late in the season, but they hired one of their coordinators, so I don't expect much change there. They're one of the best programs in Killeen, so they'll do really well. Killeen High went and hired a new coach, new coaching staff, and so they're going to be, you know, kind of we'll figure out what we got when we play them. It's going to be a little while before we play them, but you know, we don't know a whole lot about them. They played in our 707, so we got to see them a little bit. But you know, they're both of those programs are going to have incredible athletes and do a great job.
It's Coach Chuck Griffin. Friday night, 7 o'clock. UMHB just up the road at Belton High School will take on the Temple Wildcats in the season opener, and then followed by our home opener the next week against the Rouse Raiders. We'll take a quick timeout. We come back. We're going to wrangle in one of these defensive coordinators standing right there. He is waiting to talk to us, and we'll bring him to you, Coach Laux, here in just a minute. Stay with us here on the Decals with Dad Coaches Show. We're back here live in the locker room. Decals with Dads on the season opening coaches show. We love doing it here in the locker room. Man, I tell you what, we got Coach Laux working before we even got in here. This rehydrate, replenish, repair, a chocolate milk, protein shake, protein ice cream bars over here for the kids. This program just continues to excel at trying to help prepare these kids to be the best physically that they can be. How much fun is that for this program? You guys pour into these kids nonstop. You see things like this. This program is so blessed, and what these coaches bring to them and this booster club. How big is that for the preparation going into week one?
Yeah, for sure. Me and Coach Flo went to a clinic this past offseason, and there were several coaches who talked about their nutrition after their workouts and stuff like that. And, man, we thought we had to jump on that because we don't know what our guys put in their body after workouts. So now we can provide these guys with about 35 gallons of milk every week, and dude, they've been chugging it. And you can see it in the size and the way they're a little bit more dense, the way they're built. So I think it's paid off for us so far this offseason.
Coach Laux, you're back year three.
Year three.
Georgetown is the defensive coordinator. You lost some key components last year with the Tennyson Dean, Cole Mitchell, but a lot of athletes in this team this year. What do we look for out of this defense? You got a lot of youth, a lot of experience in the program, but not a lot of varsity experience. what does the defense look like, and what do we expect out of this this Georgetown Eagle defense this year?
Well, I mean, it's kind of similar to how we were last year. We had a couple guys who had a lot of experience, move positions around a little bit to help us out, and it's kind of the same way this year, man. We got a bunch of guys that played on our JV Silver team as juniors last year, and they're coming to varsity, and they're used to winning. And it's just their time to shine right now. So, I mean, we're pretty excited about the guys we got. We got some really young guys. We got some sophomores ready to go. Man, we're super excited about this group because I think they've kind of created their own identity, and I think they realize kind of what their job is and just what we're going to uphold as the defense that we've been having the past several years.
One thing we talk about a lot at Georgetown, and offensive, defense, it doesn't matter, is next man's got to be ready.
Yep.
Fielding Garner did a great job last year, kind of establishing what he was going to become in that role player to step in his senior year. We lose him to an ACL in the spring. How big is it for the next player to trust that process and know now it's my time to shine, but yet Fielding out there being a leader in his senior season, hyping up, talking to, helping prepare these kids coming behind him, these other teammates?
Yeah. Fielding's a guy, man, we moved him to outside linebacker thinking that he's really going to help us out, and unfortunately we lost him to an injury in the spring, but just having him around out there with the guys all the time, like he's helping those guys get prepared, and he's involved in everything, and he's just finding a way to help out, and he loves being around his buddies, and I think he's going to find a way to help us just from the sideline and from the locker room perspective and helping guys get prepared because he's done it. He understands kind of what we did last year, and he's been around those older guys that he's going to help show the younger guys the way and how we do things. We've got some groups that, they'll study on their own on Thursdays after or before the sub-varsity games, and they're going to go in there as a group and really get the game plan nailed out and make sure we're all on the same page. So I think he's going to help a lot with that. Man, I wish he was playing for us, but we do have guys that are ready to go, and we just keep reloading.
So talking about some personnel, we had some two-way players last year. This year, I think we might see a little bit more of that with Braylon Westfall, Zach Guyton playing both sides.
Yeah.
What's the philosophy with that, with usage rates, guys getting tired, especially a running back?
Yeah.
What's the balance there?
Oh, man. I mean, we talked to some schools that, 6A really state contenders every single year, and they got dudes that play both ways. It's hard at running back. We're going to make sure we take care of Zach and make sure that he's ready to go, and we're not going to gas him out game one. But when the playoffs roll around, we got to have the best people on the field that we can possibly put out there. We got guys that don't start both ways, but they know their role, and they're going to be out there to help us when they need to. But man, I think it's super important because you're pretty limited on that top level of skill that you kind of need at certain situations in games, and especially in the playoffs when you start going against teams that have the high octane offenses like we saw last year with Lone Star. You got to have guys in the right spot that can match up with those guys at times.
We ended the season a tough loss to the eventual state runner-up in Lone Star. How do you take that and utilize that to build a fire in these guys that coach talked about, close the gap, close that gap, and we saw flashes in a game last year against a phenomenal team. They were just fun to watch, high octane on every position. It seemed like. How do you take that and build on that to be prepared for week one of this season and get those guys not to end on a frustrating note and live on that, but yet to turn that towards a positive? Yeah,
I think Coach Griffin's done a really good job of just identifying the gap or how close we are to being in that state championship game over the last 7 years or however long he's been here since he came back, losing to the eventual state championships over and over and over again in close games. We just got to figure out a way that we're going to limit those, and I think part of that is some of those guys that we're expecting to play two ways. I think some of it is the nutrition that we've focused on a little bit in the offseason, and just trying to elevate our athletes and make sure that they've got a chance to win because it's our position to put them in the chance to win. It's them, they got to go out there and execute and on the game themselves.
So going into the schedule, we talked about Coach Griffin. So many new teams this year. What's it like from a preparation standpoint, from a coordinator, teams that we don't see every year that we're not as familiar with? Obviously, we will get some film on them as the year progresses, but like in the summer leading up to these games, what's the message like?
Yeah. Man, it's kind of good for me defensively because these guys don't really know exactly what we do unless they go back and dig through, the last several years. And we do things that are a lot different than a lot of defenses do around the state. So it's kind of an advantage for us defensively that year too when they've played against us and they kind of see what we're doing and try to figure out what works and what doesn't. That's when it actually gets a little bit harder. Is they've got more of an idea about what we're going to do. But again, we're playing some really, really good teams, tough district. And then, round one of the playoffs is going to be, possible state qualifier as well. So we got to make sure that we're ready to go, have guys prepared, give them the right spots, and just try to limit the amount of mistakes that our guys make, and just make sure that they have a good game plan and they're able to execute on Friday night.
If we ask 5 kids on this team if they're ready for Friday, they go nuts. They're absolutely ready to go hit somebody else.
Yeah, for sure.
This coaching staff, how ready is this coaching staff now with the new components in and you guys becoming this new staff here?
Yeah.
How ready are you guys to see it all come to fruition on Friday night up at UMHB against Temple?
Man, we're excited, especially after that scrimmage against Cove last week. Really good athletes on the field, really good 6A program to qualify for the playoffs in a pretty tough district last year. To go out there and have a lot of turnovers and stuff like that on defense and be able to stop them when we needed to. Super pumped for our guys about that. We got young guys that are just ready to fly around and go make plays. And then what was I going to say? Lost my train of thought there, but I guess playing against other teams, coaches coming together. Coach Griffin did a really excellent job this preseason getting our coaches on the same page and kind of learning a little bit about each other and getting closer in that way, so we can trust each other a little bit more, throughout the week and on Friday nights, and tighten that bond, kind of the same way that he does with their players. So it was really good and really fun. I guess it was kind of a really emotional experience, but it was really good.
It's Friday night against Temple UMHB. It's our defensive coordinator, Coach Louts. We'll take a timeout, try to wrangle up. Coach Flo's been doing this Decals with Dad midnight yell practice over there, so we'll try to rip him away and bring him over and talk offensive side of the ball. We'll take a quick timeout. It's Decals with Dad live for the locker room. Stay with us. We're back here live. Decals with Dads in the locker room. It's kind of fun to watch this artwork come together in this program every year, this kickoff coaches show. And this time we went offensive last. We talked defensive.
Best for last. I got you. Okay. I feel better now.
I'm glad you interpreted it that way. We just saved the Aggie for the last. It's okay. Coach, one thing we asked Coach Griffin, the changes continue on this coaching staff. You have to bring in parts. His coaching tree continues to grow. Some of the staples that have been here for years, yourself, Coach Gandy, now Coach Lauk seems like a tenured guy here in 3 years. But then you bring in some other components this year with Coach Wiley, DeRamus. Oh, man, try to remember them all. I'm going to have to keep my cheat sheet. But Coach seems to keep plugging in these guys that allows his coaching staff to build a bond and to come together quickly in a short time to keep the focus and the control of these players ready to go. How big is that for you, and how big is that for this offense this year, knowing you have a couple more new faces in there to make things happen?
I mean, it's great. It's just such a special time in the year, just like you talked about with Decals with Dads and allowing our dads and our father figures to come in and those important people in these young men's lives. Talking about our coaching staff, everybody brings something a little different. Like you said, I've realized, Ali, this is going to be year 11 for me here at Georgetown. And, my wife and I were sitting there the other day realizing just how old I'm getting. I think I'm the 4th or 5th oldest on the staff. I said, golly, getting up there and realizing, we got some new guys on staff like Joseph Gaudache is coaching our running backs, Bailey Duramus coaching our wide receivers. And, of course, I told Coach Gandy he's never allowed to retire. So, at least again, he made that mistake once and not allowed to do it again. So, really nice. Coach Kinch is now tenured on the offensive side. We made his coaching label permanent. No more duct tape. He's earned that right now. And just getting to see those guys and then bringing in Brock Grigsby from Alto, being a former head coach and a former offensive coordinator. Those guys have all been guys that have added something different to the staff that we haven't had in the past, or just a different element, a different way of doing it. And it also, I talked to Coach about this in the offseason. It kind of forces me to really understand, like, not only what we're doing, why we're doing it, but be that senior, offensive staff person to where we're, hey, here's why we do things. Here's the story behind it. The why is important around here. It's not just what we do. It's why we do it. It's how we do it. And it's the intensity and purpose with which we do it. And so we take that as a real badge of honor.
I think the elephant in the offensive huddle this year is how do you replace a Jet Walker? I think everyone in the state would be like, wow, what a task. You replaced an Andrew Petter, and you had a Jet Walker. Now you replace a Jet Walker with a Zach Guyton and a Weston Stewart, and then you got Lyox right behind them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you've got a lot of talent coming in. How do you keep that component of the offense from trying to worry about being a Jet Walker and being the best running back for Georgetown on that play, and let these guys show who they are, because we've seen the talent that they can put out there.
Yeah, I think that kind of brings into that point about new coaches as well. Every time someone new comes into the room and someone old is leaving the room, just like happened in the spring when some guys were taking new jobs and getting head jobs and taking promotions, the Georgetown Eagles is more than Jarrell Flores. It's more than Coach Griffin. It's more than Kyle Gandy. It's more than any one person. This program is a special program for a reason. And it's more than Jet Walker, and it's more than Caden Shearer and Sam Lopez and all those great guys and Zay, that are doing great things in college. But it's more than one person. And understanding that, and we're going to put our nose down and we're going to get to work each and every day on quickly allowing people to forget one person and understand the Georgetown Eagles are here. They're here to stay. They're here to retool, and they're here to go work their butt off and go whoop someone's butt each and every Friday night.
You mentioned all the names that have been leaving this past year, but we do get the quarterback back, Caleb McDougal, for his third season. How impactful is that to be that leader with a lot of new faces, not as much varsity experience, especially in that offensive line? What do you expect from him in his senior year, third year at the quarterback helm?
That's not what I expect. It's what I already know and see every day. He's another coach on the field. We can have grown-up conversations about why we're doing things, what he likes, what he doesn't like, and I tell him, you just be honest with me, man. You've earned the right to be candidly honest with me about something you like or don't like. You've earned the right as a 3-year starter to chew into some guys when you're not holding the standard. If we're not holding the standard on the field, you are that coach on the field. You are an equal part of me on this staff than anybody else because he's been there. He's been through the fires. I've never coached a 3-year starter at quarterback and as an offense coordinator until this year, and it's been so much fun. Going through the spring, going through the summer, even when he was transitioning back from baseball, he wouldn't miss a workout. He wanted to be around. He wanted to be in the weight room. He wanted to be at practice. And when we held him out for a couple of scrimmages because he had baseball and he had to play games on Fridays and Saturdays, he was still there coaching those guys up, and it's just in his blood, man. You can tell that he's a coach's son. He handles the game the right way. He handles the preparation the right way. I can't say enough about him and how much I love having him around each and every day.
I'm not going to say I've seen him cheating on his play sheet on Tuesday night at volleyball, but he's up in the stands while his twin sisters dominating in the defensive specialist role there for Georgetown Eagle volleyball. That's kicking some butt this year.
Absolutely.
19-2 after a nice 3-set sweep last night. But you see him constantly working, constantly preparing, constantly drawing and challenging that mind to go. And I keep telling him, hey, coaches, you're cheating on this. I see you looking at your phone. Now, I know these plays inside and out, but the work there, the leadership shown by him is seen every week. I get to see that while at the volleyball matches.
You're going to make me teary-eyed because you make me think about, like, some of my favorite time here in the office is that Tuesday. He gets his quarterback home, and he'll just come and I'm drawing cards for the next day of practice. I'd already scripted, so quarterback homework can go home, and Royal and all our quarterbacks, they can take him, and Caleb gets his. And if it's a home game, he just sits here in the office and he hangs out for about an hour and just does it. We just chat and just have a good time, man. And it's so much fun. I don't get as much work done, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Like the ability to hang out with those guys and just spend some time together with your quarterback, it's the most important relationship on a football team. And the kind of person that he is, the kind of worker that he is, I tell everybody in that office, I'm going to work my butt off because I don't want to let Caleb down, and I don't want anybody else to let Caleb down. We can all put ourselves in a better place to be successful, to allow all our seniors to have the best experience possible.
What does it do for you as the offensive coordinator in this team losing one non-district game everybody in district loses one non-district game, but it was always a key component to help prepare, work out some kinks, get things working for game number 1 in week 4 of the season. Now it's in week 3. How big is that to have that leadership from Caleb, but also have these other kids buy in early? The scrimmage went well. Some things we saw offensively, defensively were exciting to watch as a fan up in the stands. But how key is that to lose that game that now these guys have got to lock in these first 2 games to get things fine-tuned for district?
Yeah, those young kids don't want to believe it, but us old heads know we've been here before. In 16 and 17, we only had two non-district games before we got started, and we had a heck of a district too. If you remember, we were 7-2 going into that Connolly game, the last game of the year, and I want to say they were 7-2 as well. And the winner was going to go to the playoffs, and the loser was going to end up in 5th. So it was quite the ordeal, but, I mean, we had to lock in, and it just comes with every day matters. Every day it's about it being intentional and purposeful with everything that you do.
How excited are you as the offensive coordinator to get things rolling Friday night against Temple?
This is the time where the hay's in the barn. You kind of get a feeling of ease. We go through our script meeting, and we'll get through Thursday. You'll start to feel a little nervous going into Thursday night, Friday morning. But, man, once you're around the kids and you see them juiced up and you're ready to go, I think for us as coaches it's important to be the calming presence, And so that's kind of where I am. And you guys have seen me in practice. There ain't much calm about me on a practice field.
Or
but
scrimmage.
Or a scrimmage, yeah. And, even the referee crews were like, hey, look, don't yell at us today. I said, no, it's a scrimmage. It's okay, guys. I know you're going to get some things wrong, And we have a good laugh about that. But, there ain't a lot of calm about me during the week. But on Friday, I like to be as calm as possible and kind of be that presence that up or down, high or low, it's about the next play. Those kids will be plenty excited for all of us.
I got a little curveball for you. At the Meet the Eagles, you were one of the live auction things was helping design a play with you for 1 week. What went into that process? Such a fun, creative idea. What kind of went into offering that up as one of the selected auction items?
That was actually a Coach Griffin idea. He came to me about it, and I said, man, that actually sounds kind of fun. Any way that Georgetown Eagles supporters want to help out the program, why not? And it's just going to be a fun collaborative process, I want to have some fun. I know those guys want to have some fun, and all the parents and family that we're bidding. It's not about, well, I want my play called. It's about supporting Georgetown football. And the ability to do that and have a little fun while you do it. Look, it's one play. I'll call some bad ones throughout the year. I know that. So, I mean, here's the thing. Maybe it's a really good one, and it's one less good one I got to find throughout the week.
One last question before I let you go. Your
Yep.
assistant offensive coordinator, he's 1 year older, the sidekick that we see everywhere. How excited is he for this football season? We see him everywhere with you. He's always around the field, wanting to throw the ball, wanting to participate, growing up, watching Dad. How excited is he for the season to start?
He's really excited. And you know this, he likes to match what the coaches are wearing for that game. And he's gotten a year older, so instead of wearing polos that match the color that we're wearing, he wants the exact shirt that I'm wearing. So, coaches are going to be in white on Friday. I had to go get on Amazon and order a white sleeveless hoodie, dry fit top, so that he can wear that with his black Under Armour pants and he's got his Eagle J's, and it's just so much fun, man. Coach Dean said it when Coach Griffin was in Abilene, Coach Dean was still the head coach. He said, you'll become a better coach becoming a father. And just understanding how important it is for those life experiences for your boys and children in general. It's so much fun. Ollie's getting a year older, so he just turned 2 this past week, and now he can wobble around and run after you too. It's just so much fun being a dad. And the best part is that I've got the best coach's wife in the world, Alyssa. She does such a great job of, like right now, she's got the boys at home. And hopefully Henry's not watching this, realizing he's missing this. But he'll be around. He'll be around tomorrow night, and he'll be around Friday night with him and Oliver and Alyssa. And she makes everything possible, man. I could not do this without her. So it's so much fun to enjoy that with someone that you love, and having those boys just absolutely adore you when you walk in the door, and when they get to run on the field on a Friday night is the best part of my Friday night.
It's fun to watch that smile from Henry when he's running right beside Dad.
Absolutely.
And now to see the matching is going to be fun to watch. It's Coach Flo, the offensive coordinator for Georgetown High School. We are going to take a break. We'll let him go back to his Decals with Dad yell practice with the other Aggie dads here. We're going to bring up the Booster Club president. We told him, warned him, don't leave early. And get a state of the Booster Club address, because Meet the Eagles was one for the ages. The fans and supporters come out and make this program just amazing to be a part of. And so it was fun to be there the other night. So we'll bring you that State of the Union Booster Club address here in just a moment. Thanks for joining us. We're live here at the Varsity Locker Room. Decals with Dad. Stay with us. Back here live at the Varsity Locker Room. It's Decals with Dads, and we've wrangled. We made him stay. I tried to give him a fair warning last night when I told his wife after volleyball. Y'all aren't here much with volleyball, football, baseball, everything else, and your wife teaches here. It's Jeremy McDougall in his final year as the president of the Georgetown Eagle Football Booster Club. Jeremy, man, I tell you what, another great Meet the Eagles. People continue to show up and show out for this Booster Club and this team and this program. So we love to, especially Decals with Dad, just get that State of the Booster Club address. And it's kind of a thought process of tailgates coming up this year. A lot more. We get 6 full home games, even though one's on the road. We get 6 other ones here at Berkelback. But how big is that? And also, there's going to be a change of the guard at some point at the end of this season, which is your role. How big is that? And get people involved. It's got to continue to grow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Meet the Eagles went off great. I mean, all the volunteers, everything did a wonderful job. The community just coming out. It's a great community supporting the kids. We don't have final numbers on it, but we did pretty well. I don't know if we set a record, but we did much better than last year. So that was huge. Decals and Dads, it's an awesome thing. It's third year doing it, getting to see everybody. Everybody's excited, knowing the kids are going to come in tomorrow morning and going to be excited. The helmet's striped. It's game time. It's time to go. So it's a cool deal.
And before that Booster Club address, one thing I talked to you about before I went over joking, and I said, hey, if you haven't done this before, you get 2 Gs, and you're a 3-year dad to be able to do this. Sentimental for you. It's the last time to put those stickers on a helmet. How big is it in the emotion of you see some dads come in for the first time to do this for their son. You're getting to do it a third time. That emotion as a dad first and getting to participate in this and leave that note for your son to find.
I mean, it's awesome. It's bittersweet, but it was fun. It's something to look forward to. And then seeing, some of the dads, it's the first time they do it, and, they were excited. It's awesome. And they're excited. The biggest deal is just seeing them excited. It's not really for them. They're so excited for their son and what they're going to get to do this season and the experience they're going to have on Friday nights as a Georgetown Eagle. It's going to be awesome.
Friday night, we're at UMHB for the season kickoff against the Temple Wildcats. I don't know if there's any group meeting up, having dinner before the game. What does that look like?
Yeah, every week we'll have something before the game. If we're out of town, we'll have a place. If you come to the Booster Clubs, it'll be there. We'll announce it at the coaches show. So if you're not at the Booster Club, you'll know, ask around, whatever. We want everybody to come out and join. You don't have to have a player. If you're a fan, you want to show up before the game and get something to eat, maybe something to drink. We'll have it every week. Out of town, it'll be somewhere at some establishment. And then at home games, we'll be at left field of the baseball field by the at that tailgate area, every home game. And every home game is catered. All we do is ask you to come out. If you can donate a little money, that's great. It goes back to, since we've been able to cater it, it goes back to the Madeline Shows Foundation, the trainer that was here that lost her life to cancer. So, we want everybody to come out. This week it's going to be at the Gin at Nolan Creek in Belton. I think it's just south of downtown, right by the river. It'll be a great time. It's going to start about usually 4:45, 5-ish. Just walk in, tell them who you're with, and they know. Stand lines gets all that stuff together. So.
And one thing we'd love to do is turn those places blue before a game. We every time we travel, we all try to get there early, go have something to eat and go. It's just fun to watch. You go to this town, and all of a sudden this restaurant is blue, and a couple of fans from the home team like, what's going on here? It's like, oh, it's Georgetown's restaurant on the road. We'll be out of here in a few minutes. The home ones, a lot of people don't understand it. A lot of people don't even see it and think about it, even on the road. These tailgates are for everybody, and it's an opportunity to come and just to get hyped up. But the home games have that special element when the guys walk through and how big it is to line the road.
Yeah, and that's a big deal, too, is I didn't mention earlier, at the home games, we'll line up as the kids walk through and cheer them on as they go through. I don't know if it's going to happen this year. We don't really have control over that. But like last year, the band, I believe, was at every home game. They line up and they play. It's a good old time, and it's great for the kids.
The Booster Club continue to do great things. Man, it's exciting to watch. Meet the Eagles, people just showing up and just willing to donate and give and to bid, and these auctions going like crazy. How big is it to get the buy-in from the younger parents, freshmen, sophomores, to know that someone's got to take over and run this and keep this show going over the next few years once these juniors and seniors get to move on?
Right. Yeah, and that's the big deal is, you don't realize until you're in it, how much goes on during a football season. Even in the off season, just not as much, but especially during the football season, the amount of money that it takes to give the kids everything they need. Can we get by without all that? Sure. A lot of old schools, I didn't have any of that stuff. Well, I get that, but we're trying to give our kids the best of the best, uniform-wise, weight room-wise, chocolate milk machines in here to help them rehydrate and replenish and repair and all those things that we're trying to do. And it takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of people. And there's great people in this community. Every week, you got Meet the Eagles, it's a big fundraiser, but every week, we have concessions. And, if we can make, $200, $300, $400, $500, that goes back into the program. It buys some chocolate milk. It does whatever, so we have to have volunteers for that. But, yeah, it just takes a village. I mean, the old saying, that's what it takes. And the great thing about the Meet the Eagles and the amount of people that were there and the way they supported is I know it's going to continue. This community has got great people in it. There will be people that step in and take it even to another level.
The rest of the season, we have Booster Club meetings. Talk about those times, locations,
right?
So people can continue to get involved.
Yeah, Monday nights, every Monday night, we'll have a Booster Club meeting. It's at 6 o'clock in the team room at the field house. Coach Griffin and the other coaches, they're going to show highlights of every game. Both freshman teams, both JV teams, the varsity, talk about the games from the week before, and then he'll also talk about the opponent coming up. And then we basically just talk about the business of the week, to make sure that, we have things. There's plenty of opportunities to serve in certain areas, and we'd love to have you come out and hear what that is and hear what the coaches got to say and get excited about Georgetown football.
First time in my life I'd ever seen at a Booster Club the coaches go over highlights, talk about the game, lead into next week. And it's not a hidden secret. Come in each level, so you can learn about this program and watch these kids grow. Such a cool thing to see and experience from these coaches.
Well, and I'll add to that, and that's a good point, is what people don't realize that are in this program, how lucky they are. There's a lot of places around this state, around this country, that it's not even close to what these coaches do with the kids on and off the field, the way they treat the parents and do those things. They don't have to do that. They're spending 80 hours a week up here, and they stay to be able to present that to the parents and answer any questions they have. So we need to realize how lucky we are for where your kid's going to school and the type of football program that he's in and the type of men that they're around.
And the best thing about it is Friday morning. It's tacos provided by the official taco of the Georgetown Eagle football program, Texas Honey Ham. I tell you what, Rob and his crew prep several tacos every Friday morning fresh. A lot of the dads will meet up there, have breakfast, and then bring the tacos, feed the boys, watch the hype video, and go. But it's just little things like that that make this program special in every single way. Fun to be a part of. And I've never had a kid go to Georgetown in my life. It's a special place to be. It's Jeremy McDougall, the Booster Club president. We're getting ready to get out of here. Decals with Dads. It's a kickoff for the beginning of the year because Friday night, your son starts his third season as the head quarterback for your Georgetown Eagles against the Temple Wildcats. at UMHB. Are you nervous, or are you just ready to get
No,
going?
I'm ready to go. It's game time. I'm ready to go.
It's game time. For Holden Tuma, this is Jeremy McDougal, the Prez, joining us live here on Decals with Dads. Take a quick time out. We'll come back and shut it down. Stay with us. Back here live, Holden. Decals with Dads, ready to close it down, Holden. Your thoughts? Friday night is game time against the Temple Wildcats.
I'm just excited, man. I mean, football season is the best time of the year. Fall, when hopefully it starts getting a little cooler. It's been 100 degrees every day for the past month, it feels like. But this is the best time of the year. I mean, these kids have been practicing all spring, all summer, building up to this. Just ready to go.
The rest of the year will be, most of Wednesday nights, will be at Camp Brightside. 5:30 will be your Eagle Nation Coaches Show. We'll bring you Coach Griffin, some of the players of the week, and have an opportunity to meet and greet, talk to the coach, and just catch up on more Georgetown football. Look forward to the next Friday night, and we'll bring them to you live here on the SHN Sports YouTube channel. First Responder Broadcasting brings you everything Georgetown Eagle football, and we are supported by some of the most amazing businesses out there. Camp Brightside brings you the Coaches Show every week, especially tonight when we're not even there. They are the sponsor to make it happen, but you can't look past any of these businesses. You'll be sick of by the end of the year. You know what a first down is. It's borrow from Morrow first down. But you got people like Oak Ridge Disciple House. You've got CSET, Construction Specialists of Central Texas, stepping in. So many of these sponsors that just jump in to make it all free for everyone to enjoy if you can't be there. But Friday night, just up the road at Belton, 7 o'clock kickoff. Come join us for an opening night of Georgetown football against the Temple Wildcats. Kelly Duvall will be there with me, Holden, Dave. Heath will be on the field camera, Jalissa on the camera, my wife running behind the scenes. The collaboration of fun begins.
I think this is the first time we get everybody back for a season. We've had some turn the past couple of years, but everyone's running it back.
So we'll blame somebody else this year. We'll have to find somebody else. But then we got great photos from Lawson Richter and Griffin Knuckles that Kelly will be able to use in his hype videos and plays of the week and stuff that as we get ready for each week. Thanks for joining us live here tonight for the Varsity Locker Room. The decals on the helmets look amazing. Football season is here. Thanks for joining us tonight, Coach Griffin, Coach Laus, Coach Flo. We appreciate their time. We'll be live on Friday, 6:15 from UMHB Crusader Stadium with Georgetown Eagle football. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night. Remember, it doesn't cost you a dime to be kind.